Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is the right side of campus, and we're live on a Thursday, May 3rd, 2018. I'm your host, the Big Man on Campus, joined by my co-host, Donnie Rightside. Donnie, how you doing today?
Doing good, big man. Just sending out a quick retweet here to get this show popped off and going here. A lot going on. You hear the dog even in the background. She's all fired up for the Sixers game tonight, so we should have a lot of fun to talk about a lot of interesting topics here today.
Yeah, lot to do. We got Sixers, Celtics tonight. We got Cavs, Raptors, MLB, a lot of day games. We'll get to that and more here on the show. We'll also get to top five, Donnie. We're back to top fives. We'll give our top fives, and I'm trying to think. Should I tell the listeners now about this or wait? I mean, what do I do here, Donnie? I mean, I already have
What?
my
What are we
list.
talking about?
Well, I'm talking about should I tell the listeners what the list is to get them thinking about what they want to give out. As always, we do the top fives, our top fives, and we come up
Yeah.
with different top fives, and we want to hear what you all are thinking as well. Do you give it out now or do you give it out that time?
I don't know. We used to like to save the off topic, sort of like that hidden box, Jeff, where you just maybe flip it
Oh,
over to
that's
see
what we'll
what it's actually about. Yeah.
that's what we'll wait
Yeah.
till later. A fun top five coming up.
Hmm?
Definitely one to think about. And we need good answers here. Don't just throw these together. Good answer. But we'll get to that later. Let's get into the show. Welcome into everyone out there listening. Hope you enjoy the show. Hit the retweet button if you're on Twitter and like the show if you're in the room right now. We are sponsored by the great folks at Inner Tops. Inner Tops, one of the best books in the business. I'm going to tell you right now, they have one of the best interfaces in the business. Very sleek, very easy to use. I was on it yesterday. Very nice book. Great lines. Great people, great book, Inner Tops. Make sure you're using them every day. You want to make sure you're using books that are easy to use. They're someone you can trust. Intertops. I've been doing it for a long time. A lot of customers. You know, been a book, Donnie, since '96. One of the first books in the business since they've been online. Make sure you're checking out Intertops. A couple good bonuses right now. Make sure you're checking them out. Donnie, let's get into the show here. We'll start with some of the morning headlines here. We start out with the Redskins. Redskins are in the news after a little hot water came out after the fact of, I guess they were basically forced their cheerleaders to go to Costa Rica. I don't know where in Costa Rica. I don't know if it was. I'm guessing it was, not close to SBR Studios, but maybe they can give us some instant information here. But the basically what happened was cheerleaders were forced to go. According to the article from the New York Times, they collected all the passports. Now, Donnie, there's not a lot of reason to do that unless you don't want someone to leave somewhere, which would be my guess. They were forced to do calendar shoots where they were naked and there were only men in the room, which is obviously a little odd. I've never heard of a calendar shoot that's open to the public. That doesn't happen very often. They were kind of like, some kind of glorified peep show. And then after the long day of photo shoots, they were asked to be escorts for some of the men that were there in the nightclub. Weird story here. Obviously, it's not a good look for the Redskins, and it really just continues to go back to the exploitation of women here in this situation. Look, cheerleaders are there to, obviously, pump the crowd up, and they are nice to look at. We can all be honest, but that doesn't mean they're supposed to be pimped out for their own gain. Donnie, what are your thoughts on this story?
Yeah, it looks like it got a little bit out of hand there, but let's be clear about one thing here. You're a cheerleader in the NFL. You know what you're signing up for. This isn't the draft. You're not going to the Army, the Navy, the Air Force to go fight overseas and put your life in danger. You know exactly what you're there for. You're there to look really good. Maybe you can attract a pro athlete. Maybe you can go out on a couple of these corporate accounts and maybe a vice president of a company might pick you up. That's all there in the game. The one little creepy thing is every single NFL team does this. They take their women cheerleaders, whatever, to like the Bahamas, to Bermuda, to Puerto Rico, to the Dominican Republic, and shoot in like the calendar shoot. And it's a big what's the word I'm looking for? Like a A good thing for, like, if there's 25 girls on the team, 12 get picked for the calendar, you each get a month there. That's a pretty big to do, and you're impressed by it, and you get to sign your calendar, and oh, I'm Mrs. May for this month. It's a really big deal. But usually, they do shoot those, when they say topless, they're not taking pictures topless. They usually put like a body paint on you, or you cover it up. You've seen the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues. Half the time, most of those pictures are done that way. But it was a little bit creepy that, you got to go out with these guys, or maybe the guys, because usually, Jeff, you would do it on like a secluded part of the beach away from the public so everybody's comfortable. But it almost makes it sound like, hey, look, if you are a vice president at FedEx, you can stay like you can actually watch the girl get undressed and get on the beach and take some pictures, which is really creepy at that point. Taking the passports, the only thing I can think of for that is so they don't lose them, so they don't go out and party and lose their pocketbook, and then you can't actually get home at that point. I can see the point of doing that, but other than that, it does sound a little bit creepy. But let's not get ahead of ourselves with the exploitation of women. Nobody is forcing these women to be cheerleaders in the NFL. A lot of them like to do it, go out there prancing, do their hair, 24, 25, 26-year-old girls, and that's what they do and have fun with. So you can always not be a cheerleader. You're not forced into this.
Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine going down to what you think is supposed to be a shoot, and you have all these dudes there, and then they're just there
No, that's
watching,
creepy.
and
Yeah, that's
I
the
mean
that's the real
that's
creepy part
weird.
about it. And even if I'm a guy, like I'm a 40-year-old guy, do I like beautiful women? Of course I like beautiful women. But if like, hey man, you're gonna get behind the scenes access to this photo shoot on the beach, I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll lay by the pool. I'm sure they'll come out in bikinis and I'll be fine with that. Why would you want to be part of a creep shoot like that? I don't know, man.
I want to make this very clear. The off-topic segment has not. It was not based to go after this. I don't know. I maybe should have thought of that before I did the off-topic thing, but I'm not making any jokes here. Let's get to the next subject, Donnie. You get what I'm saying there, Donnie? I don't want to. I want to make sure this doesn't connect to that at all,
Yeah,
because it
no,
really
yeah,
isn't.
we're not just trying to be creepy on this, but it's just, they go down for a photo shoot and you're blindsided. They're like, hey, we're gonna have like these 15 vice presidents are gonna watch you get ready for your photo shoot. That is creepy as hell, man.
Yes, I agree. Where else are we going here? Oh, LeBron James continues to make money even off the basketball court.
Yeah.
According to different news outlets, the fact that Liverpool advanced to Champions League final is a huge thing for LeBron James. According to the article, he invested one of his marketing firms signed a joint venture agreement with Fenway Sports Partners. If you know, they own Liverpool. He received a 2% stake, Donnie Rightside, in the club, one of the more historical clubs in England. And by getting to the Champions League, I guess from what I'm reading here, he will make about $7 million, if not more. So, LeBron James, Donnie, he just shows to show you that what a shrewd businessman. I mean, this isn't the first successful piece of he bought into. I know he was involved with Dre Beats a couple years ago when they went public and started getting sold and all that money they made. LeBron is a good businessman, Donnie, isn't he? He's a mogul.
Yeah, let's just be clear here on this. LeBron James doesn't have too many slip ups in life, whether his family life, his basketball life, athletics, or off the court. Surrounding yourself with good people. But this is the reason why we look in this country. And kudos to you if you can make a lot of money. The rich get richer because in the business, in any business you're in, you have to spend money to make money. And if you have an endless amount of supply, you look out there and say, where can I get some good business deals? Hey, by the way, the EPL is just skyrocketing out there. Why don't we take 6 million LeBron, which you won't even miss? We'll invest it. We'll get a 2.5% stake in Arsenal. And in a couple of years, all of a sudden it's worth 35 million. He also does a multitude of things, Jeff. The pizza chain Blaze, as soon as he invested in it, a couple $1 million, basically tripled that overnight. If you have a lot of money and have decent investors around you, you're going to triple your money. The problem, Jeff, with the rest of us is we don't have that money. It's like, hey, let me call up Arsenal. I want to be a minority owner. All right, can you come up with 10 million tomorrow morning? No, I actually can't, but I can come up with a grand tomorrow. That doesn't do anything, and you can't buy into this type of stuff. The more money you have, invest it wisely, the more money you can make. But we've seen some stupid investors out there, and people blow $50, $100 million on some crazy, crazy things. But LeBron, obviously, Jeff, did his homework on a lot of things, is worth a ton of money, and it's only going to keep going higher for him.
Keep in mind when you reach Champions League final, you get $100 million, and if you win, you get even more. So a nice little payoff for LeBron James, who look, 2% of Donnie what this club is worth, which is I don't know, probably a couple hundred million
What?
in the higher
What
hundred,
is?
couple, I don't know, 900 million. What this club's worth? I mean, there's a lot of, this is a big time football club. It's one of the biggest in the
Yeah.
world. So
Yeah. Yep.
a nice investment. Good for LeBron James. He keeps making money. One other thing, Donnie, quickly, the chippiness in the NBA. A lot of little quarrels going on, whether it's Drake and Kendrick Perkins, which I think we all know who would win that fight off the court. But I am curious to hear your opinion, Donnie, on who would win Draymond Green and Charles Barkley. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about Charles Barkley in his prime. Who would you take in a fight in that one?
Charles in his prime was a bad man. I mean, look, this is pre-internet days. You say like, oh, you're not going to meet me, you're not going to do this or whatever. Charles would be out in the public, and if you talk smack to Charles, he literally, and you can Google it, would throw you through a glass window at a bar if you ran your mouth. Charles Barkley was a tough son of a bitch. Him and Rick Mahorn, the whole thump and bump Sixers of the early '90s. He was a tough dude. Obviously now, an extra 100 pounds on him is not going to be too much of that. But getting back to the other one too, Jeff, the whole Drake Kendrick Perkins things really makes me laugh. You know why it makes me laugh? Like Drake is there at center court. He's like, the mascot for the Raptors. That's his that's his thing. He's going to put on for the city of Toronto. We get that. And a lot of teams have those things. You see Kevin Hart in Philadelphia. You see Spike Lee at the Garden, even though the Knicks aren't even worth anything the last 30 years. But it's kind of fun to have. But the thing that made me laugh the most is when I heard about it, I was like, ooh, he's going to get into it like with Kendrick Perkins. You know what I mean? I saw the highlights, and I'm rating for like Kendrick Perkins in sneaks, in full uniform warm up, like having words. Dude, Kendrick Perkins, you're in a freaking suit. You don't even make the team. Who are you talking trash to, old man? For real.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if he was talking Drake. I think he was talking to someone else, and Drake butted in, from what I've noticed. But I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you're right about that. I mean, why is Kendrick Perkins starting fights with Drake if possible? I don't know who started it, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense if Kendrick started. And what's his issue? What's he even on the team for? Why is Kendrick Perkins even
Yeah.
around?
I
Like,
don't, that's the whole point. Like if he was like a player on the team, like if he came in and even got 3 minutes that night and somehow
yeah.
bumped into Drake and they were arguing, like, hey, look, the player is arguing with a fan. That's pretty funny. But at this point, they're both fans.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Perkins is pretty old at this point. I mean, he hasn't really played in the NBA. I mean, he hasn't. The last time he played in the NBA was 2016. I mean, he's been off for a while. He comes back and joins the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, I guess for just veteran presence and stuff like that. Maybe this is maybe it was something to do with this. Maybe they brought him in to be kind of I don't know. I don't know what exactly they brought him in for. I'm trying to like justify him being on this team, but I don't really know why. Uh, but as far as Draymond, I don't know. I get the feeling he's a bit of a scrapper, but the old Charles Barkley was a bit of he was a real tough guy. As far as Draymond, he is kind of that villain in the NBA. He likes to be, he likes to do everything. He comes across to me, Donnie, as one of those guys that he's tough when like there's a security around or a ref, but when it comes down to it, do we believe that he's someone that can handle his business? I don't know. I don't think he could beat Barkley in his prime. Uh, Let me ask you quickly: does Draymond Green come across to you more as a guy that you know, i- is kind of tough when everyone is around, or when he's in the back alley, do you think he can handle himself?
Yeah, no. Well, see, I mean, he's now. First off, when we're talking about like handling each other, like we're not talking about guys that are like 6 foot one. I mean, these guys are huge compared to the regular dude who, if you just stepped the Draymond in the bar, he would probably level me with one punch because he's massive at this point. But
Yes.
if you're just talking in the scope of like tough, there's always like there's guys that are about that life and there's guys that like to talk about that life. Draymond plays the perfect villain on the court, Jeff, because he knows he's in an environment where nobody's going to sneak him. You're not going. It's not. We're way past the early '80s and mid '80s where you literally could get away with a Donnybrook on the court and throw bombs at each other. You can't do that anymore. So he plays a very good thing. Like sits up at the mic and says, if you want to come punch me in the face, come punch me. Who's going to come punch Draymond in the face in the middle of an NBA game or at a bar where he's surrounded by a ton of people and he's not like a UFC fighter that's going to step to him and say, well, I'll take you on right now. So he's talking from a little bit of an elevated platform, but I think it's more talk than action with Draymond. But as I said, if I tried to fight Draymond, he would kill me. But that's beyond the point.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Um, the guy always looking to start stuff's always the you know, and maybe that's
And by the way, and how does Draymond get into so many things on the court, Jeff? Where like, who did you think the other night when you saw the highlight? Draymond Green and AD were rolling around on the
right.
floor. That was all Draymond Green locking him up, trying to play the like he's doing this to me, dude. That's Draymond to a T right there, just to get under your skin.
Right, right. No, he's looking to get you technical, get you thrown out of the game. And look, he's an elite defender. I mean, I'm not going to knock him. He's a fiery guy. I mean, he's what the NBA needs. You need guys like that. You need guys that will are tough and they're gonna And I don't know again. I know when he was at Michigan State, he had or it wasn't at Michigan State. It was after the fact. I think it was a few years after he came into the NBA. He had a little exchange at somewhere in East Lansing. I remember. He's a guy on the court in the NBA that is he's a defender. He likes to have fun and mix it up, and he gets it out of people a lot of the time. Donnie, let's move into NBA and NHL after last night. Not a lot going on in the NBA. It was just one game, and Utah was fantastic. Played very well, and I think they got to feel happy with the fact that Ricky Rubio didn't play. Uh, Donovan Mitchell didn't have a great game, and they still were able to get the job done. It was impressive stuff, and I gotta, if I'm Utah, feel real happy with that. And Houston's got to worry a little bit. Now you got to head back to Utah for 2 games. They have home court advantage now. Utah looked good last night, even when they didn't have their two best, two of their better players play well. One of which wasn't even in the game.
Yeah, and how about Jeff? Getting that good start to the game, losing it a little bit at the half, then coming out and getting it all the way evaporated, and then still being on the road and be able to pull that game out against arguably the best team in the NBA. That was awesome for Utah. Do I still think Utah's going to win the series? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But now you have a little bit of life in you there, and it played out exactly the way you figured it would of an NBA series. Utah comes in after an emotional win in their first round series to move on to Houston. They take that deep breath and decompress and get beat by Houston. Then they come back in that game where you're going to have full energy, you're going to be recharged and ready to go. They play a great game and win that, Jeff, because we're going to talk about a little bit later the Sixers and the Celtics, sort of in that similar guideline that we're looking at here. But don't take anything away from Utah. They are really well coached, play team basketball, and this is a team, Jeff, Donovan Mitchell comes in as like a godsend. Let's not forget they lost Gordon Hayward last year that left. Imagine if he was still on that team to make it even a deeper team. But you can also say maybe Donovan Mitchell doesn't improve as the year goes on and is a rookie of the year candidate if Gordon Hayward was still in town. But good for Utah, man. They're going to come home. I know their fans are going to be fired up because you could smell a little bit of blood in the water at 1-1. Not to say you're going to win it, but keeps the series real interesting. And now Utah's home court advantage going to kick in here.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Good point about Hayward. A lot of people chatting about the Sixers. They're excited. Paco, Troy,
Yeah.
Michael, everyone likes Sixers tonight. We'll get to that in a little bit here. Brian Yoler, thanks for the loyalty, pal. Appreciate you. Dan Kelly, Kyle, Jeff Slaughter. What's up, Jeff Slaughter? Welcome in. Kyle L. What's happening? A lot of people in here. We welcome all of you. Appreciate you tuning in today. What else do we have here? Oh, NHL. Did we move that
Yep.
down? Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
Uh,
Yep.
how about the Shark Tank last night, Donnie? It was
Yeah.
rocking, and the energy was not there from the Vegas Golden Knights. Didn't play well. Weren't able to score goals. Um, little inconsistent Vegas at times offensively, but Sharks even it up as they head back to Vegas. Donnie, could have been a nice way to really end this series. Get a win last night, up 3-1, heading back to Vegas. Vegas wasn't able to do it. They get the job done 4-0. Not a game Vegas will remember and their fans. Donnie, Bruins are smashed last night. The whole world was
Yeah.
on the Boston Bruins, it seemed like, and for good reason. Boston was at home. They're very good at TD Garden, but the Lightning weren't having it, Donnie. Steven Stamkos wasn't having it.
No, yeah, Stamkos gets the late goal, but they jumped out right away. How do you take a crowd out of a game in hockey? It's usually home ice advantage. You can crowds involved, especially in Boston, good Northeast city. They're going to be rocking and rolling. Score 2 goals in like the first couple minutes of the game to take them out. Boston comes back, makes it 2-1. The crowd gets back into it. What do? You have to counter with another goal. 3-1 at the end of the first period. Pretty much ended the night. And these are 2 really good hockey clubs here. But again, I don't have a rooting interest here. But Jeff, it's always nice to see the Bruins go down. So I did thoroughly enjoy that butt whipping. So now it goes back. You get home ice back to the Tampa Bay Lightning, but getting back to Sharks another team. And it just seems like, it's a lot of fun. Like hockey in some of these environments, man, they really get up for their sport in non-indigenous areas. Like, San Jose, tech capital out there. The Shark Tank Rocks, man, they have a great opening. They come through the shark's mouth with all the teeth, blood in the water out there. It's really cool that they do. They were excited for that game. And now we're going to take it back to see if Vegas can reclamp on that series. But NHL playoffs, 2.5 months of some of the hardest series wins you can possibly get. And it's fun nightly every time they come out. Even though the Flyers aren't participating here, hopefully they will in the next couple of years, make it deeper and deeper. But I'm enjoying it. It seems like every night you're coming down to a goal or some, really intriguing stuff, suspensions. Guys are playing hard. A lot of fun last night in the NHL.
I got to tell you, Donnie, and we should do this list sometime. San Jose Sharks have the best logo in sports.
Cool.
I've always enjoyed the Sharks. With the shark with the biting into the stick. I'm a big fan of that logo. Always been. Want to chat and say hello to DJ Big Boss. DJ Big Boss, I got to hear more about you. I got to hear what kind of DJ you are. Are you a former DJ? Are you a current DJ? I'm interested. I'd like to know. I mean, I used to spin a little bit when I was younger. Love to hear more about what you do as a DJ.
Yeah, but Jeff, I have a question. Dating
Yeah.
back to my love with the Juice days with the DJ. Now, always the knock on DJ GQ was he's just local. Is he big? Is he local or is he big, Jeff? That's what we got to figure
I'm
out.
not sure. I'd like to hear more. That's why I asked. I don't know. I'm always interested to hear more about DJs. Did you guys talk about Robbie Anderson? Now, there's a gangster. Yes, right. Robbie Anderson, the pride of Temple University. No, we didn't talk about him. We'll talk about him tomorrow,
Jesus.
actually. I
We
actually forgot
should,
about
yeah.
that. JTS, Jets. We'll go over his high level rap sheet. Lot
Jesus.
of really sad things here. Uh, Definitely a pure G. We'll get into that. Um, okay, he's a retired DJ from LA,
There
15
you
plus years.
go. Yeah.
Very good. I
Yeah.
like it.
Oh, fine.
I'm sure there was plenty of good West Coast rap in your spinning sessions. Good. Um, and we talked Barkley Draymond. So we'll move on into MLB. And Donnie, MLB was interesting. I'll tell you what. Um, you look at what happened in the MLB last night. Guys like Darvish. I mean, Darvish gets rocked again. I mean, this is a guy, Donnie, that really hasn't been the same since he left Texas. And I don't know, maybe it's the NL, the fact that he's in the NL. That's maybe been a problem. We saw what happened in the World Series and stuff. But I mean, this guy has an ERA almost at 6. Gives up 3 bombs yesterday. They need Darvish to pitch well, and he's not doing it. What's the deal with you?
Yeah, there's a reason why I was a free agent. Didn't sign with his original team from the year ago and, sat out. Still got a decent, but hey, Cubs are a big money team. They can afford it to come in. We sort of saw that pitching a little bit late down the stretch last year that maybe he's not that top flight guy anymore. And he's certainly showing. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. If I'm a pitcher, right? And, I think I'm great. I can do big things. One of the last places I actually would want to go is to be the Chicago Cubs and play in Wrigley, where it blows out at 15 to 20 miles an hour. It seems like 2 out of every 3 days. But again, it's about money. It's about a guaranteed contract. It's not the NFL. They're not saying, hey, you're really bad. We're going to cut you at the end of the year and you don't get the rest of your $100 million contract. He's there. He's paid. He's probably just happy to be there at this point. But it's not a good signing by the Cubs early on. And it's one of those things, Jeff, where I don't know if it gets any better. But can it get any worse? I don't see him returning back to form of a couple years ago as a Cy Young, type pitcher. Just a big money guy. Maybe you can get innings out of him, I guess.
Yeah, 2 out of the last 3 starts, he's allowed 5 or more runs. So yeah, they need to get him going. I don't know what you really do. Like I said, now hasn't really been the same pitcher since he left Texas Rangers. DeGrom, he's injured. This is big news, and this is bad news for New York Mets team that has lost 7 of 11. They're not playing well right now. Offense is hit the skids a little bit, and you know, add in the fact that Matt Harvey is a complete mess right now. Matt Harvey is basically a problem for that group. I mean, Matt Harvey's a guy now that is in the bullpen, but he doesn't want to be in the bullpen. Matt Harvey's out partying supposedly every night. Matt Harvey's an annoyance at this point for the Mets, and I think they really regret not getting rid of him a year or two ago. You're at a crossroads now with Matt Harvey. What do you do? According to some, he's always out doing stuff, partying. GMs and players are sick of it. He's a problem for this team. And now DeGrom's injured. What if DeGrom has to go and get Tommy John surgery? Then what do you do? Syndergaard's a great pitcher, but Jason Vargas you can't expect much out of him. Steven Matz has been in and out of the lineup. This is bad news for Mets fans that really expected a good season after the start that they had.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about the Mets before the season, to the beginning of the season. The question mark always is if they keep their pitching staff intact, they will be a factor in Major League Baseball. DeGrom now going for the MRI. Matt Harvey laughing off, saying, "Hey, Matt, we're going to put you in the bullpen." And he's basically going, "Yeah, no, you're not." And that's where you're going to sit at this, sort of standoff with Matt Harvey. So you could be down two of your frontline pitchers right off the gate. And we know Syndergaard is dominant out there, but the dude puts a lot of torque on that arm, Jeff, throwing 100-mile-an-hour pitches. If he goes on the disabled list or goes down for any bit of time, you can just sink the Mets off into the sunset at this point, because the one thing we do know with the Wilpons, they're not going to spend any money. They're going to sell guys rather than buy guys out there. Again, thank you, Bernie Madoff, for ruining the Mets. We always appreciate that in the city of Philadelphia. But you're right, Jeff. If they don't have a pitching staff, they're not going anywhere. But that's life in baseball. If you don't pitch, you can't win.
Yeah, according to one player, New York Post reported he was asked about Harvey's partying and stuff. It's just like, what are you doing? One Mets player said. Not going to say they didn't mention who it was. From what I've read, though, it doesn't look like people are happy there. This guy's always wobbling around, drunk. Got some problems. They need to fix that because that's a bit of an annoyance at this point for that group. Yes, you're right. They're
We're
not
all
going
about
to
it,
go
Jeff.
spend
We're all
money.
about a balls for Harvey, too. I mean, you look at a guy that came in and had it all, a surefire guy that if he kept his head on straight and didn't get injured, he's probably set to make a $225 million contract, tons of endorsements in the big city, good-looking guy, can date whatever model he wants, and somehow just shitting that all away. It's amazing, isn't it?
No, it really is. I mean, he's really wilding before our eyes. Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge, and I was quite excited for Matt Harvey this year. Kind of a new season. You kind of get your head on straight. You had some issues, you had some stuff going on last year. It's all in the mirror now. You kind of focus on your side, but I mean, it just I think it's a mental thing for Matt Harvey. He's kind of a soft guy. Um, yeah, I mean, Hyper set it up. I hear you. I'm not, he might come back, but if it's anything Mets, it's probably going to be something bad. Um, where else are we going to go here? Severino. How good was he last night? Another shutout for the Yankees. It's two straight shutouts against Houston. How about that? Severino, complete game, first of his career. Donnie, he was fantastic last night. And how about Giancarlo, Donnie? 2 home runs, a double, scored all the runs last night. They go for a third win in a row against Houston today with Tanaka.
Yeah, picked up a double in that last night. You're not going to get an easier first 5 innings win than that against a really good baseball team. But Severino had some very good numbers here. Just had to watch out for the left-handed bats, which, again, as I talked about yesterday, they don't have very many left-handed bats on Houston that are going to line up to try to damage Severino. And then also flips out on the other side. Darryl Keuchel struggles with right-handed bats. We all know there's big power down there in New York from the right side. Giancarlo got him in the first inning with a 2-out, 2-run shot. And from there, you were never looking back. A nice, easy money line first 5 wager winner on the road team. Yankees worked out well. I wish, Jeff, they were all that easy. But Severino from the first pitch, Jeff, he was locked in last night. 99 on the gun, devastating breaking pitches, able to finish guys off, not putting guys on base. That's impressive last night, man.
DJ Big Boss, I played for some of the greats. DJ Quick, Too Short, Warren G, WC, Sugar
Nice.
Free,
Yep.
Curtis Blow,
Yeah.
John B, Alcoholics, just to mention a few. That's great stuff. Good work. You and Donnie would get along, I think. Donnie's, that's kind of your wheelhouse, Donnie, right? Couple of those
Yeah, no,
guys.
absolutely, man. Coming through the West Coast back in the 80s and 90s when it was just getting underway out there. Sure. No, that's pretty cool stuff, man. I like that.
Another great Yankee performance ruined by John Sterling. Settle down, Sweetek. Sterling's a great. You don't like John Sterling? What don't you like about Sterling, Sweetek? I mean, I'm not a big Susan Waldman fan, surely, but
That's got to be the worst
what's
booth in baseball. It has to be the worst booth ever put. And it's the The thing is that always gets me, Jeff, when we talk about, you bring up John Sterling, is it the Yankees? Like if it was Tampa Bay and you just needed a shtick for somebody to turn on the radio and try to get involved in. But usually the Yankees, you figure the classiest organization in the history of baseball, and they had these two nut jobs up there ruining it.
it's funny on John Sterling's Wikipedia. One of the they have a section called criticism, which I have a feeling if I had a Wikipedia, there would be a criticism page also. But the first sentence is Sterling is heavily criticized in the media with over 100 websites dedicated to denigrating his styles and calls. Many baseball writers have ranked him as worse or close to the worst current baseball radio announcers. So yes, a lot of people don't like John Sterling. Yeah, I don't hate him just like a lot. I don't hate him. I mean, I think he can be annoying, but I think a lot of those guys, like a lot of people don't like Hawk Harrelson, the White Sox guy, but I think he's pretty entertaining. But yeah,
Yeah, like
some of
but
his
like Hawk, like you need that in Chicago, right, Jeff? Because they get like 1,000 people in the stands. You need a little bit of like a catchy thing that maybe somebody's going to hang on to and watch. But people are going to watch the Yankees regardless and get big ratings as it is. I just don't like the overall shtick because I always look at the Yankees as being that monotone, like super classy. Like even back in the day, you can't have facial hair. You got to have a short haircut. Even who's the longtime announcer that Derek Jeter kept? Number two, Derek Jeter. Like that whole dry personality. Yeah, we know we're the best, and we're not going to be a little show off. So that's it.
yeah, so you're not a fan of like it's a text message
No, it's
or
awful.
like
Yeah, come
or
on.
like I gotta tell you, I did like it's an A bomb from A Rod. I thought that was pretty funty. But by the
Good
way,
text
Donnie,
message deceased. Yes, absolutely.
you're talking about Bob Shepard, long time
Bob
public
Shepard.
address
Yes, there
announcer.
you
But he's a PA guy. They have to be quick. They have to be like very succinct to the point. I think John Sterling just I mean, Donnie, you gotta agree. Let me ask you. And I'm not in any way comparing Vince Scully to John Sterling, but I mean Vince Scully is fairly detailed, no? I mean,
I love Vince Scully. I
he more or
love
less
Vince
though
Scully. Vince Scully's
paints
the best. Yeah.
he more or less like paints a picture though. Like
Yes.
he's kind of a good radio guy because when you're a radio guy, you have to like paint a picture to people because they're listening, they don't
And
see
no,
things.
color analyst with him too. Does the
Yep.
broadcast by himself. I mean, that is it. That's just one of the coolest things ever. Like you figure like the ESPN Sunday Night broadcast goes the opposite and puts three people in the booth, but Vince Scully, a 90-year-old guy, at the end of his trails, still sharp as a tack in there and be like, I don't need any help in here. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, not for nothing though, Donnie. Philadelphia has the worst guy in baseball. I mean,
Tom McCarthy's the
Tom
worst. Yeah, Tom
McCarthy's
McCarthy's
awful.
by far. It's bad, Jeff. It's baffling. You have a team that goes back 100 years, right? You had one of the best announcers of all time with Harry
Yeah,
Kalas.
exactly.
His
Yeah,
son is in Major League Baseball calling. You would think the Phillies would have been smart
yeah,
enough to
right.
say, "Hey, can you come up here with us? You would be an instant hit factor." And he's a
Yeah,
good play-by-play guy. Tom McCarthy, by far, you're absolutely right, Jeff. The worst announcer I've ever heard, and he's ours.
like, does it not make you sick, Donnie, when you're like watching a Phillies game and like, let's say they're down 2-1 and like, Miguel Franco hits a home run. He goes, "It's a brand new ball game." Like he always like, it's like, shut up, dude. Like you're
And
so
he
lame.
has no the worst, but the best part about it, Jeff, if you've done this for decades, and I'm talking about years and years and years when you hit the ballpark, you pick up on the succinct little things like the crack of the bat when you know it's a home run, you can call it. This guy still does games, Jeff, where he doesn't know if it's a pop up to second base or a 500-foot mammoth blast out of the stadium. He has no idea where the ball's going. It's amazing. Like usually you pick that up like, oh, that's way, like as soon as the guy hits it, oh my God, that ball's way out of here. He'd be like, it's high and it's deep and it's out of the stadium. Like he has no idea where the ball's going. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah, he's bad, man. I mean, him and Gary Matthews were the worst for a long
And the
time.
fake laugh,
Uh,
like and the fake laugh through the whole time. Like John Kruk will say something, you just hear, what? Come on, man, Jesus.
one other story last night in baseball: James Paxton, 16 strikeouts that the Mariners lose, and they are for some reason they were mystified by Brett Anderson. Just couldn't figure Brett Anderson out. They scored 2 runs, had a big opportunity in the eighth inning. They had bases loaded, 1 out. Nelson Cruz was up, but Nelson Cruz went 0 for 80 last night, I guess, and wasn't able to deliver. So yeah, I mean they had an opportunity, but what are you gonna do, Donnie?
Yeah, Paxton was awesome last night. Like I was actually one of the plays I was thinking about, which it is very rare to take like a run line first 5 innings, which would have come in that game. But you're right. Like I didn't see most of the game past like the second or third inning. I just woke up and tried to read the tea leaves there. But Nelson Cruz goes 0 for 4 with 4 Ks. Like that's like you weren't facing power pitching, folks facing a lefty. You think you would have ate last night, but it obviously wasn't the case. I lost an appetizer on that game, as I like to say, the over 4.5 team total, which should have came in fairly easily for me in that game, but did not. But at least the steak dinner came home with the Yankees. But Paxton, Jeff, was awesome last night. Give him credit, man.
Yeah, it was very good. Let's move on to today's MLB. We got a couple games here, a couple of day games, and a couple of other things as well. What do we got, Nani?
Let's see what we got here. We're going to bring up some stuff here. We will go MLB tonight. Let's go right back to the scene of the crime last night. Jeff picked up a nice, easy winner. Another good one today, which, again, you're going to look at good games every time the Yankees and the Astros match up. You got Tanaka on the mound versus McCullers, 957, 958. Jeff, 58% of those tickets lining up towards the Astros tonight as opposed to taking Tanaka. Opened up at minus 123. Looks like Intertop's now, Jeff, sitting at minus 125. So not a lot of movement despite about 60% of the tickets on the Astros here at home. Yankees are hot. Can they stay hot, Jeff? One of the key ingredients here that some people like to cap, and for good reason, the getaway day game when you already have the series locked up. Looks like we're going to have that with the Yankees today. You think McCullers can come back here and pick them up with a win? Because those Astros bats got to come alive sooner or later versus Tanaka.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock with the under again in this series. These numbers are just a bit too high. I mean, both these teams are struggling a bit right now to score runs, and both have been winning games from their pitching. I mean, the Yankees haven't done anything overly great offensively over the last two nights. I mean, it's been one guy last night, and then it was Gary Sanchez the other night with the big home run. Um, Tanaka's been really good. He was very good last year against Houston in the playoffs. I mean, you look at last year, 2 starts, 13 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. Did have a crooked performance up in Yankee Stadium where he gave up 8 runs. Kind of, I think it was on, if I want to be correct, I'm pretty sure it was on July 4th, maybe last year, or around there. I may be wrong, but either way, he was very good in the playoffs. He kind of knows this lineup pretty well. And McCullers has good numbers as well against the Yankees over the last couple starts. I'm just kind of looking at these teams the last couple games. I mean, they haven't really even gotten close to the number. All 3 games this year have gone under. I'm going to keep riding some of the trends here and go under the number. I've been a lot of swings and misses in this series. The other night, Donnie, there were 29 strikeouts in a game. That's over half the outs were strikeouts. And I've heard a lot of news outlets and different guys talking about it. Do you look at the MLB, Donnie? I mean, it seems like strikeouts are a bit of a problem in this league.
Yeah, no, because there's no matter in it. You know what's kind of funny? You bring that up, which we didn't even talk about this before. But like, if I was an Major League Baseball commissioner, like I would mess with everybody. I'd say, you know what? A strikeout's now worth 2 outs in Major League Baseball. How much would that change the series, or change the inning for you, or change the power bat? I never understood it. But again, the new wave in Major League Baseball is, how do you get paid? You don't get paid by hitting 310 with 5 home runs. You get paid by hitting 230 with 35 home runs in Major League Baseball. It's all about launch angle. Can you imagine, Jeff? Like, whatever happened to the days like way back where it's like, all right, I'm going to swing for my heels on the first pitch and the second pitch, and now I'm down 0-2. Not choke up on your bat, but say, you know what? I'm just going to make sure I put this in play. Major League Baseball's swings, Jeff, don't change from strike 1 to strike 3. Therefore, it's all or nothing every single time. And you're right. The month of April had more strikeouts than hits for the first time, I believe, in Major League Baseball history. It's probably only going to get worse.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Dan Kelly's talking about Tanaka. No, listen, I hear you. I guess I'm just looking recently at his outings, and look, he has the unfortunate problem of, he can be a little erratic at times. But I'm looking at lately, he's been pretty good against this Astro team. So I'll keep rocking with the under. I will say, Donnie, I don't hate Houston here. I don't know if they'll get, they'll lose 3 in a row. That doesn't seem like it's feasible, but I got a feeling this is a low scoring game. What else do we got?
Yeah, no, moving on here, Jeff, interesting, a lot of eyes on DeGrom's arm, but you still got a baseball game to play. And Jason Vargas, if you're a Mets fan or backer, doesn't, get too much enthusiasm behind it. He got lit in his first start with the Mets. Now he's going to face Toronto on the road. 61%. That's not a surprise, Jeff. Are going to back Atlanta here. Mashed the Mets last night, going up against a tomato can in Vargas on the mound. 39% of the wagers coming in on the Mets. That line opened up, Jeff. How about this? 108 at Pinnacle. Now at 112, Intertop sitting at 112. So heavy workload for the people out there putting in tickets for Atlanta. But that line moving in the opposite direction here, Jeff, in Flushing.
Yeah, that's a big concern. And, I think this is one of those spots, Donnie, where you look at this game and you say to yourself, why do I want to back the Mets here? Okay. And I'm not going to try to sell you a bill of goods that you should back the Mets. Jason Vargas was absolutely hideous in his first start. Braves are the World Series favorites, according to most people, because they've started out, what are they, 18 and 11. Keep in mind, the Twins, they do this every year and they don't ever do anything. But so I asked myself, and Tehran does have good numbers against the Mets. Their lineup's been very good. They're 8-1 in day games. Yet the line is going the wrong way, Donnie. This is a
Hmm.
problem. I'm taking the Mets today at Citi Field. I think Vargas bounces back here and is a pretty good outing. Um, and maybe gives the Met fans a little bit of solace in knowing maybe they have a pretty decent four-star. And that first game was just a weird game, and he just didn't have it that day. I'm going to go with the New York Mets here. I still don't hate their lineup. I think Mr. Conforto will get going. You look at on the road this year, 2 games for Tehran, 5 ERA. It's very average. Um, I'm gonna rock with the false flag here and go with the Mets.
Yeah, Jeff. Another interesting with the Mets game, Cespedes wears the diamond necklace around his neck, doubles down the line, had to hustle to second base. The necklace breaks off his neck on the string, and all the diamonds go into the
Yes, I
field,
saw that.
and he doesn't care and leaves it there, Jeff. Amazing if you have rich man problems, isn't it?
Oh no, yeah, you're totally right. I mean, that's what happens when you got money, Donnie. You can do things like that. You know, you don't care about things that we care about. But yeah, I mean, again, I want to make this clear for me, and I know Donnie. He mentioned this. I'm really just looking at why are the Mets the favorite here?
Yeah.
All the issues that the Mets have had lately. Jason Vargas, the
And your
lineup. Yeah,
supposed ace, right? Tehran, your
yeah,
supposed ace of the staff is out there. Yep, there you go.
yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me. For me, I'm gonna go Mets here.
Finally up, Jeff, here, and I know a lot of, and it looks like they're already munching already. Let me get this straight. Boston versus Texas, who's terrible. Boston's killing everybody. David Price is on the mound versus Mike Minor. I don't even know who this guy is. 150, it looks like, Jeff. Goes up a little bit. The intertop's at 158, but 82% of the tickets, Jeff. 8 out of every 10 tickets are lining up with the road team here, the Boston Red Sox, with very minimal line movement here, over under at 9.5, Jeff. Do we trust David Price as a heavy favorite on the road? Because it looks like the public's saying, hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, usually you would think this line would be like 1 to 2. Why is it only 150? Boston is, you know, kind of, just floundering a bit. I mean, they're 4-3 over the last 7. They haven't been good against lefties. I don't have a big, huge feel. I'm going to try to maybe say over the number. I think they'll be able to hit Minor. I get the feeling Texas will be able to hit Price. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of a concern that the line's only 150 here. Boston's a considerably better team than Texas. But you look at a career for David Price, 18 starts against Texas, 4-9 with a 5 ERA. Now, a lot of those starts, have been, eons ago, and they don't mean a ton. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Donnie, why don't you tell the listeners, as far as a game like this, what do you see with Texas?
In what regards? Like player wise
Well,
or?
no, you mentioned kind of initially, the line, and I'm just trying to get, we have a lot of new people. Maybe some people don't know about the false flagging stuff. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get you
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
explain. You know.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting one because if you take a look just on the outside, Texas is terrible, right? Boston is really good. We get that. You have a big money, big name pitcher in Price on the mound versus a name that probably nobody could pick out of the lineup at this point, the lefty Mike Minor. If you're taking a look right now, there's 81% of the tickets, as we talked, 8 out of 10 tickets are piling on Boston. Usually, when you get that avalanche coming through the gate and pushing it all around with the public tickets, you're going to see a line increase. But the fact that most of the money, Jeff, is coming already on Texas and only 20% of the wagers coming through there, it gives you a little bit of pause because when you look at some other, type of interesting stuff, you had Boston playing at home yesterday, Jeff, right? Now they're going on the road. They had a big offensive explosion. They're ready to get after it down in Texas. And you shake your head and saying, you know what? Why is this price? It's not a cheap price, 150, 155, whatever it is. But when you look at what moves the lines, if you have 81% of the money on Boston opens at 150 and goes to 190, you can believe about there's some backable steam there. But right now, earlier in the day, it'll be interesting to see where that line ends up since it is an 8 o'clock start, but a heavy public interest early overnight just because it's David Price versus a quote unquote bad baseball team.
Yeah, as far as what was the listener's name here? Damo. Do you guys have a, best bet? Listen, I think that Mets game looks really, really juicy, man. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, bro. I mean, that's really kind of my thoughts there. Um, you know, I think Donnie will agree. I mean, those are the kind of spots you kind of salivate. middle of the day game. A lot of people see Atlanta. Atlanta's the big thing nowadays. You know, but Donnie, as far as quickly, Yoenis Cespedes, this year, he will make $29 million.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, hey, you can afford
Um,
another. I guess if you have I guess if you have insurance on the chain, like if it breaks, like it doesn't even matter where the diamonds go, you just claim it on insurance. Because I believe it was as Drupal Cabrera, I believe, was out the next inning picking up the massive diamonds and putting it like he didn't even go out or send a bat boy out. He's just like, I don't care. Like just let some of the guys who work the diamond on the ground crew out there, they could pick them up and sell them on like the street or something. No big deal.
yeah, Lloyd Mass is asking about a pretty puppy today. A pretty puppy, not a lot of games, frankly. I mean, I think pretty puppy could be maybe the game we talked about with the Rangers
Hmm.
and Red Sox, something like that. But I got to be honest. I mean, there's not a lot of huge dogs today, really. I mean, there's only one game above $2, and it's Toronto and Cleveland. I'm not looking to fade Carrasco. He's been pretty good, and he's off a pretty bad start. Maybe the second game. You look at
Yeah.
Plutko getting the start. I mean, Plutko a big favorite there against Biagini. Biagini, a Paisan,
Yeah,
a
back on the
favorite of ours,
mound.
who
Yeah.
comes out of the bullpen. But yeah, not a lot of big favorites today, frankly. Any take on the Arsenal game today? Yes, I'm on the other side. And we did a video. I'd highly recommend checking it out. We actually had a great conversation on that game, Arsenal Atletico. Alex and Nigel. Nigel was an Arsenal fan. We had a great conversation, Eric. So I would check that out on SBR. Um, but yes, I'm not a big fan of Arsenal, but more as a fact of I'm not a fan of their coach. And I do think they're fairly delusional as a fan base. They haven't won a point on the road in the Premier League yet. They think they're going to go beat Atletico Madrid. We'll see what happens. I would check that out. Sonny Vega, what's happening? Donnie, let's move on quickly. We got about, I don't know, 11 minutes or so, 10 minutes. I want to get to this off
Yep.
topic. Let's quickly go through NBA.
Yeah, let's go a little NBA action here. And by the way, just one minor point there, Major League Baseball, before we move on. If you saw some of the tweets come out there from some services that give out odds lines, the month of April, Jeff, since 2005, the best public bettors month in what? 12 or 13 years at that point, as you saw the past 2 or 3 years, which I usually like to bet. I don't give out any plays or so many plays in April because it's usually just a public fade month. I didn't really, thank God, really didn't go, heavy as what I did the past couple of years in the month of April because the public was awesome in April. It was one of those months, Jeff, we talked about a couple of days ago. If you see a mismatch in pitching, it was usually coming true like 65 to 70% of the time. We'll see if the regression comes in as it typically does. But let's move over to the NBA, Jeff. Two good games tonight. How about this? Cleveland and Toronto are going to tee it up again tonight, Jeff. That's going to be a six. Hey, look, folks, 6 o'clock East Coast time. If you're out in Las Vegas, a 3 o'clock start, so get ready. This one's coming down the pike sooner. Similar line to what we had in game one, Jeff, -6.5 over under at 212, sitting at intertops right now. If you're looking at Cleveland here, you got your game on the road. One would think if you're zigzagging or going against the trend that this would be a Toronto game, knowing full well they better win this basketball game, Jeff. But a good one here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Donnie, this is kind of good for you. Your early bird special. You'll be at right around the beginning of the game when you're just finishing up your meal. I know you get to bed pretty early. It's pretty good timing for you, isn't it?
Why isn't everything at 6 o'clock, Jeff? Damn it. Everything should start at 6.
Yes, yes. Yeah, no, this is a good game. I mean, but you look at Cleveland. I mean, does this series not just look kind of like, as far as the games are concerned, it'll be kind of close, game by game. It's going to be about who can finish, and as we know, Toronto isn't able to finish. Look, they'll win this game, but Donnie, it is concerning that LeBron James and Kevin Love are 15 for 43, and they still found a way to win the
Yeah.
game.
Yep. Yep.
We just continue to find these little small things, and Kyle Lowry just kind of folds up at the end of games. DeMar DeRozan. I mean, Fred Van Vliet should not be shooting the final shot of any game. Just shouldn't happen.
Oh, and
As far
multiple
as this,
shots, Jeff. Yeah.
yes, yes, it's not good. As far as the game itself, though, I don't know. I kind of, in one aspect, think that Cleveland will, hang around, and this one will be a close one. But listen, there were a lot of missed opportunities for Toronto. I think we had to mention. I mean, they just could. The lid was on the basket for large periods of time. I mean, how many easy layups did Valanciunas miss? I mean, he could have had 35 points if he'd have made some of his layups. I have a feeling those will go in tonight. I think this game will be a little bit more like the first half we saw in game one as opposed to the second. I'm leaning towards Toronto here, but it's not. I'm not in love with this game.
Yeah, and the game of the night, obviously for us being the Northeast, 8:35 start, Celtics and Sixers. I wanted to talk a little about that Houston and Utah game because this has sort of a little bit of a makeup there. The home team came out, played well in round one. You had some, tough circumstances supposedly for the road team. The Sixers were opposite of Utah, maybe a little bit too much time off, came in a little bit of rusty. Boston, fresh off a victory, rolling over that momentum into game one. We'll see if it changes. But the same MO, Jeff, we're taking a look at the line numbers. Opens up at 3, sitting at 4.5 at Intertops. We'll see where it goes the rest of the day today, but it did creep up around that 5 level for game one, but the same betting sequences look like they're coming in backing the Sixers. One would think, again, if you're betting on regression, Celtics can't shoot that much again, right? They can't bury that many threes. The
No.
Sixers can't miss that many wide open threes. The Sixers are a really good team, didn't play very well in game one. It's hard to win on the road. We get that, but one would think if the Sixers are going to snap back, you got to take this game, Jeff.
Sure. I mean, listen, if they lose this one, it's done. I mean, you can't go down 2-0. No more Jaylen Brown. He's not playing tonight. You got to figure out a way to get the job done here, and they can. I mean, Joel Embiid and Ben were very good offensively. They just need to find a way to defend better. And look, they had a couple days off. I would think for as great a coach as on the surface, people say Brett Brown is. Let's hope he can make some adjustments. According to local radio, he got vilified for some of his decisions as far as defensively. Um, they have to get that fixed. Joel Embiid has to go out and guard on the perimeter. The thing I don't understand about him is like he's obsessed with shooting threes on the perimeter. Yet on defense, he doesn't want to go out and guard the perimeter. He needs to go out and guard the perimeter. Too many wide open threes. Can't happen at this level. Yeah, I would go Sixers here. I think they get the job done. I think they figure it out. I think they win by like 7.
All right, move it over to hockey real quick here. Give a couple quick updates. Caps, Pens in this series, Jeff. As we look over, Washington with a 2-1 lead can take a commanding 3-1 lead. They had a nice victory over the Penguins in the last game. If we're taking a look at money line options here, Jeff, Pinnacle 165, Intertops 170. So you're going to pay a premium for Pittsburgh in this one. And again, in the NHL, looking at it over under, that's sitting at 6 right now. So you would need a 4-3. If both teams can get the 3, you're going to put that one in your back pocket. Both teams can score at this point, but it's going to be looking like, well, I want to see what that game plan comes out for Washington. Did they really press it down, or they say, let's go and wait and see mood, let's not make any mistakes out here? But the Penguins are coming from jump in this game, Jeff. Should be a good one to watch. And then finally with Nashville and Winnipeg, 2 great teams. I think overall 2 of the best, 1 and 2 in points in the NHL. 2 great home atmospheres with Winnipeg and Nashville. That one sitting at a decent price here at Intertops, -140 if you're going to back the home team with Winnipeg, who's up 2-1 already. Nashville needs this game. 2 teams that can put clamps on the series here, Jeff, in the NHL tonight.
Yeah, good luck to them. I can't name more than 2 players on either of these teams. Listen, as I always say, check out the Ice Guys. Check out the other shows at SBR that all do hockey. They would give you a much better opinion than I would on this.
All right, we got a couple minutes left in the show. Actually, 2 minutes left in the show. Slide it down real quick. Off topic. Let's reveal the box and what it says, Jeff. Top 5 most beautiful women on the planet. And it's good that we only have 2 minutes because we'll only have the big man's top 5 to go over here.
Donnie Rightside's going to list his wife as all his pick.
I'm going to abstain.
Well, listen, I saw a little thing on the internet yesterday. It was a beautiful woman, this Camille Caustic, and I said to myself, what a beautiful woman, man. I mean, just amazing. Donnie, and I thought to myself, who are my top 5s? I mean, I have to, I know you're married, so you're kind of abstaining from this, which is fine. But I know you have those women out there that are beautiful to you, aren't they? And I kind of wish we had a bit. I kind of wish we had a bit more time, but just a couple that kind of are always on, kind of that I look for. I mean, Donnie, have you ever seen Abigail Ratchford? Is she not a beautiful woman?
Yes,
I mean,
that's the point I want. That's the one I wanted to bring up here because I'm, being a little bit older. Back in the day where magazines were big, Maxim and all those would come out. They'd always just stack it with the hot chick of the month and all that stuff. I get that, but she's the one that gets retweeted the most around Twitter that you see, and it's just like, what would you do with that? Goodness.
She's to me the most beautiful woman on earth, Abigail Ratchford. Beautiful. Lindsay Palis, if you know who she is. I'm not usually into blondes, but my God, what a fine, beautiful woman. What a just a prize. I mean, listen, I mean, I'll never get a woman like that, but well, maybe I will. She won't be that classy, but what a beautiful woman. Wow. Camille Caustic, who I just mentioned, just naturally beautiful. As I get older, Donnie, as I get old, yeah, how about that? As I get older, I'm more and more, I find more beautiful in those just those regular, there's regular women that just are naturally beautiful. And then I'll get kind of a little bit more, off topic. Listen, I'm always going to go Dolly Castro here. I mean, Dolly Castro is that, a beautiful Latina, with the booty and all that kind of thing. Kind of got her fame off Instagram, but a beautiful woman, a beautiful face, just everything about her. And Donnie, I got to go. Listen, is she the five most beautiful women on the earth? No, but to me, dude, I gotta tell you, Molly Karam's pretty beautiful, man. Pretty fine to me. Are you a Molly Querim guy, Donnie?
No, who's the other one? Who's the Joy? Is it
Uh,
Joy? Or who's the same set. The
Joy.
one's on Fox, one's on ESPN.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. She does the
Yeah.
Skip Bayless though. Joy. The
Yes,
only thing
that's
about
yeah,
Joy
yeah.
that I don't
I
like,
would take her. I would take her.
I'm a big fan of her voice. Like she's kind of it's kind of weird. Abigail Ratchford, Joanne. Abigail Ratchford, beautiful woman, best, most beautiful woman on earth. We'll wrap it up here. Everyone have a great night. Hopefully you enjoy your Thursday. Go Sixers. We'll be back Friday, wrapping up the week here on the right side of campus. Joy Taylor, there you go. Um,
Yes.
good call, Glenn. Everyone have a great night. We will see you Friday. Bye bye.